Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that great introduction. If I knew I could choose a theme song, I would have chose a different one, but that's okay. I hope everyone enjoyed their afternoon. As the introduction said, I'm Shaelyn Otikor, Senior Vice President at Northern Trust and head of our global workforce strategy for half the company, which I'll cover in 1 second. I'm joined here today by John Cronin, who's our eGain product developer. We had to switch out at the last moment for speakers, so excuse the discrepancy in the agenda. So to start off, we're going to give you a quick overview of who Northern Trust is. I know at times in the technology community, all the financial firms are not as well known as they may be within the financial community. So Northern Trust is a wealth management and institutional bank that has been around for about 130 years, since 1889, I believe that is. Northern Trust colleagues, nod your head, am I right there with my math? I've been at Northern Trust 23 years. So yes, I started right out of kindergarten. Yes. For everyone who's pulling out their digital calculator right now. So Northern Trust, we pride ourselves on our client-centric model, right? So much like the other companies that have spoken here today, or that you hear speak at all, we're always focused on our clients. What do they want? When do they want it? How fast do they need it, right? And I think that goes regardless of who the supplier or your provider is, regardless if I'm talking to my cell phone company, ComEd, my electrical community, it doesn't matter, right? You want a response, you want it now, you want your provider to pay attention to you. So Northern Trust, we have clients in over 26 global locations, 53 countries, and approximately 22,000 employees worldwide. So a very large global spread regarding our employee base and our client base. We work on a 24-hour clock, so someone is always manning the phones, the emails, responding to our clients to make sure that they're supported regardless of where they are in the world. So when you're looking towards Northern Trust, oh, my little red box kind of shifted, that's okay, digital technology transformation, right? So Northern Trust, we're composed of a couple core essential business units. On your left, you will see the corporate and institutional services in the yellow, and on the right is our wealth management business in the green. So we service two core clients, wealthy individuals, families, family offices, et cetera, and then corporations, institutions, public pension funds, foundations, fund managers, asset owners. Around the house, they're supported by our asset management business unit. They're supported by our asset servicing business segments, and then of course our global operating platform, which encompasses our IT, technology, and support functions to keep the lights on and the wheels running. Not to be underestimated or overlooked by any means, right? So I stem from the CNIS side of Northern Trust, where we have developed a new workforce strategy within the past 2 years to accommodate the changing technology transformation within the financial services. The wealth side of the business is doing the same. The difference on the CNIS side of the business is that we service asset managers who are much more fintech savvy, operational savvy, tech savvy. So essentially on CNIS, we sell operations and technology. To help support this model that we have in CNIS, we developed our global workforce strategy. So at the top of the house, we have Mike O'Grady, our CEO. We have Pete Cherwich, who's the business unit president of CNIS. We have Penny Biggs, who's my boss, chief strategy officer. And then myself, workforce strategy lead, and I oversee 6 core components of our workforce strategy. And I know people look at this and they're like, God, what is your job? Half the time I wonder that too, right? So essentially my job entails developing the workforce of the future. And when you look at technology and when you look at the external environment, technology is leading the way, right? So when you look at our workforce, specifically within CNIS, we have half the company at Northern Trust. So over 10,000 employees globally of the 22,000. Our employees are broken into 3 world regions, evenly distributed in 20 countries. So keeping tabs on that many employees is not easy. And that's just on a purely workforce function. Imagine keeping tabs on that many employees and the hundreds of clients we have in all the different world and global regions. So in my role, I look over the culture, productivity, and development of how we're getting ready for the workplace of the future. Now, within our segment, because we are half the company, and we service asset managers, and we sell operations and technology, a large portion of our workforce is millennials, approximately 75%. So you know millennials, outside of work, they have their instant messaging, their Instagram, their Snapchat, and then they come into big, large corporations such as Northern Trust, and they kind of get taken back into the dinosaur era a little bit due to a bulk of regulatory restrictions, other financial red tape, and other things where we're not always able to adapt as quickly and as flexibly to some of the digital technology that's entering the community and the industry. So some frustration there with our workforce, and we're looking to adapt, and there's some frustration with our clients as well. And it's difficult for us because in the financial community, number one, front and center is risk, cyber risk, fraud, breaches. I'm sure you've heard all the horror stories in the news, be it Capital One or the Equifax, et cetera. So we're always striving day in, day out to not be the next name in the news. We spend an inordinate amount of time, capital, and planning on simple risk management and oversight. Then you have to take into effect that when you look at our client base and our employee base here, we have emails flying all over the place. We have workflow going. We have clients that are placing trades in Russia, but they're based in New York. Or they're trying to settle foreign exchange in India, and they're based in California. So the time zone, the clock, it is critical that our partners, who we call our employees, or employees we call our partners, are responding quickly to alleviate any potential financial fines or any other risk or monetary, reputational, et cetera. So as we look towards our workforce strategy, and we were looking to develop this, and specifically our digital technology transformation, we recognize a couple of trends that were going on in the industry. So when you think about the financial firms, we have spent the last couple of years digging ourselves out of all the financial regulation that was created from the economic crisis. So we were busy responding to the Dodd-Franks, the AIFMDs of the world, all the regulatory policies that required us to develop new infrastructure to protect consumers, to ensure that trades were being settled, that cash wasn't overlapping, that we weren't robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so for the past couple of years, we have spent all our investment capital, time, and energy just on the regulatory risk management. So now in the past year, some of that has loosened. We won't talk about how or why. But due to that, we're now taking a breath of fresh air and looking around. And what we notice is that we're behind the curve. And this goes for pretty much all large financial corporations and firms who have been focused on regulatory implementation for the last couple of years. We now recognize we're behind the fintech curve, the digital technology transformation. Our employees are expecting us to have all the cool, savvy tools. You know, and it was funny story. When I moved into this role and I started looking at our digital technology transformation and having meetings with digital tech firms, right away, they wanted to see me and hear me. And I know that's the norm for most of the people in the audience. And I'll tell you, I was having a meeting with Zoom, and on my computer, I saw Zoom. I saw their faces, I heard them. It was all video-based, and they said, well, where's your video? I said, I don't have one. Where's your mic? I don't have one of those either. So that's where we started about a year ago. Luckily, my boss gave me a webcam, so that was great. I just got a new laptop with Win 10 and Office 365, so I'm really excited now. We're getting a little bit closer to that. I spent probably an hour the other day asking IT to change my text from red to black, but that's, you know, little stumbling stones. So this is where we're leading right now. So as we talk about how we're training our talent to service our clients in this new digital technology world, how are we adapting to the changing roles and trends? How are we making sure they're developed, that they have the tools that they need, that they have the skill set that they need, that we're hiring the right talent who is even tech savvy? So before, we used to just hire people straight out of college, BS in finance, BA in liberal arts maybe, and that was good enough. It's not good enough anymore. So now we're looking for staff who are financially savvy and tech savvy, who are able to adapt, who can respond to our clients' queries quickly, More importantly, we're looking for platforms and applications that can also adapt, that are also user-friendly for individuals who are straight out of college, for senior managers who may not be tech savvy. We have the 3 generations in the workforce, so it is difficult to hire millennials straight out of college and put them on platforms like eGain, but then also have senior managers who have never had applications like eGain, and they must produce reporting and dashboards that are user-friendly and easy to follow. So there's a lot of work that we're still doing to adapt to our workforce strategy. And as we kicked this off a couple years ago, eGain definitely came to the forefront as one of the leading competitors in our workflow application review, so to speak. So what we were looking for at the time, we wanted to take large teams that were globally based, perhaps 100 in Chicago, 100 in India, maybe 100 in Limerick or Ireland, and put them on the same workflow tool so that we can manage emails. Something as basic as that, right? So one of the running jokes of some of our clients was, oh, you guys never respond to emails. You never get back to me. How frustrating must that be, right? If I called T-Mobile and they never responded to me, or they took hours or days, I would be frustrated too. So we looked at eGain and we recognized it provided capabilities that addressed our changing workforce, our digital technology transformation, the multi-generational workforce. It allowed us to onboard hundreds of partners in a particular department, regardless of world region, but let each one of these departments choose their own makeup within the platform. And that was key. As we have half the company, we are composed of 12 different business segments, each one unique. We may have a business segment that caters to foundations and nonprofits, but then we have a business segment that caters to asset managers, and then another one to asset owners. Each of their needs, each of their locations, the size of their groups were uniquely different. So we needed a platform that was as flexible to change and as broad in scope as our own business model. So eGain was a winner, of course, because it allowed us to scale up, to add new people, to change the workflow from one location to the next, to manage our client communications and emails, to give our managers easy-to-read reporting that said, hey, your largest client contacted 3 representatives this week about the same issue, and it took them maybe a week to respond, or maybe you have someone who responded within a minute. So it gave that type of reporting that improved our client servicing model. Our clients were much more satisfied with our response rate, much more satisfied with how quickly and easily we were able to resolve queries simply because we had this platform that enabled us to track the queries more succinctly and to issue metrics and SLAs that help with that. So I'm going to ask John to come up. John Cronin is our eGain product developer at Northern Trust, so no one's more of an expert on the platform than he is. And he works with probably, I would say at this point in time, we have roughly 16 global teams on the platform, encompassing maybe 1,000 partners, and probably growing up by about 25–30%, if not more, over the next year. Our partners love the platform, hands down. They love it. It's flexible. The managers love it. I think the only complaint is that we're not onboarding them fast enough right now.
Right, that's very true. Thank you, Shaelyn. Appreciate it. Hi, everyone. So just to pick up on what Shaelyn has been discussing, Northern was very interested in finding a product that would provide us the ability to track service level agreements that we have with specific clients, to make sure that by the end of the day, all the needed emails that have been sent into a shared email box has been responded to in the appropriate manner, and nothing's left unanswered within the time frame that we've committed to make happen for our clients. So when we chose eGain, because eGain provides the robust reporting that we've been able to leverage both from eGain as well as importing some of the data to our own environment to do some more refined reporting where needed. We have the investment management group, and we have representatives here today. They were one of the first teams to onboard to eGain, and they were really big cheerleaders as far as making the platform function as they need it, and they offered a lot of value as far as coming up with ideas of what they needed for the business to run the way it needed to. As Shaelyn already spoke to, client service, and first I want to apologize, my slides are nowhere near as pretty as Shaelyn's. Pretty basic in bullet points, but they are what they are. So I'm more of a word and bullet point person here. So we just needed something that would provide better or improved overall oversight of the email activity. That's one of the reasons we chose eGain. As I already said, the service level agreements, very important to us to ensure that we respond to clients in a timely manner. A great function that we've used with some teams is that what we have a QA or QC queue implemented, which has been very helpful. Some teams have restrictions on some service team members for sending outbound email, or perhaps they want to review emails prior to sending it out to a client. This functionality that has been built allows us to have quality measures taken on some of our email traffic. So, of course, the intelligent email routing, which is a basic functionality of eGain, something that Northern really needed in order to improve responses and as far as which partners would be managing which emails. It's offered a great deal of value. Dashboards and reporting, as I spoke to already, provides great oversight as far as what the current activity is for your department. If there's anything that needs to be reassigned, that can be done. Also, as far as reprioritizing emails, very lucrative option for us. We can have some emails prioritized in a more high priority in order to ensure that they're responded to in the way they should be. Client privacy, extremely important to Northern, and mitigating risk. We've been able to leverage some of the functionality from eGain to afford us that ability. As we continue to grow that, we're looking at other options within eGain, but right now using knowledge and solve functions with eGain has been very helpful as far as providing our partners or agents the best responses to the particular item that's been sent in. This slide represents the adoption of eGain. As Shaelyn already spoke to, there's quite a number of teams that are requesting to be onboarded to the platform, and they're in queue. But you can see that our growth has continued. The SLA response, which is very important to us, up 7%. And we have the actual adoption worldwide is up 39%, so close to 40%. Emails processed by eGain has increased substantially over the past year as well. So that continues to grow, and we certainly expect that to stay on target as far as growth. I do have to say we've learned some lessons along the way as far as onboarding teams. One is that change can be very difficult for people, and providing the ability for partners and agents to understand what they might be facing. It's been sometimes a tough point because they're busy doing their very important job of responding to clients' inquiries, and they need also time dedicated to learning a new tool and understanding some of the capabilities. So that does seem to be a struggle, quite honestly. I think I have learned that perhaps the best way around that is to start small. So try to get a particular pain point that you're trying to solve for your line of business. Tackle perhaps smaller points first, and grow the platform as teams become more familiar with all the functionality. So there's not quite a bit of a scramble going live. Best to do it piece by piece and try to break it up where possible. Also takes commitment. So it does take a committed business group to onboard, as well as availability of technology team. So recommendation would be to have some teams, some partners, or some agents or employees that you would plan to onboard to eGain. Ensure that you have time afforded to them to allow them to concentrate on that activity and make it a successful engagement.
So next steps then, right?
Yeah, so next steps, we will continue to promote eGain to our partners and to business teams, and that's certainly in the works as we are, as you said, we have a queue of teams to onboard.
And I will say that these bullets under next steps don't completely encompass all of the works that we have currently underway with eGain. Obviously, the suite of products and services that eGain offers versus what we're using, we have barely just scratched the surface. So we're looking forward to growing our relationship with eGain over the upcoming year to utilize more functionality, specifically in the secured portal space. Everything related to risk management and data privacy is our core focus. And I really have to tell Ashu and his team, led by Avnesh, who's our client rep, that they have done an excellent job at responding to some of our unique customized issues. We have sat down and explained some of our concerns around data privacy at the company as it relates to different applications and different things that we have tried to do to accommodate these risks. And it took only a couple of weeks before they came back with a customized solution for us that we can look into that could potentially solve 80% of our problems. So we'll be looking into some of the risk mitigation data privacy over the upcoming year. If legal and risk and compliance agree, we may look into some of the chat functionality. So in the financial firms, legal, risk, and compliance, they might as well be a three-headed monster. Sometimes they kind of stunt our growth in the digital technology space. No offense to anyone in the audience who comes from those worlds. We love you. So in the upcoming year, these are the things we've looked at. So they have the robust solutions versus what we're using is our goal in the upcoming year. So we want to onboard more teams. We want to promote it more to our clients so that they see in the onboarding process what they'll be getting out of Northern Trust with regard to their own client deliverables and our ability to respond to their issues and questions in a timely manner. And we just hope to really secure the platform more and more to alleviate some of our risk and breaches. So that's about all we have for you guys today. If you're interested in hearing more about the Northern Trust experience, feel free to reach out to any of us on LinkedIn or the Northern Trust team that's been here all day today, or reach out to the eGain team and they'll be happy to connect you to guys. And we would love to sit down and talk to you about our own business case. Thank you.
Thank you.